So a couple of days ago, Lil Nas X dropped a new track titled Montero, Call Me By Your Name. And within those last couple of days, the internet has a few words to say. So, welcome to the Bar for Bar podcast. And this week, we're talking about Lil Nas X and some of the hypocrisy in hip-hop. So, a few disclaimers first. This podcast, is going to be very focused in on some of the homophobic stuff surrounding hip-hop and just culture in general. And I am very pro, just being who you are, like accept who you are, pro gay rights, everything like that. So if you're against any of these things, leave. Just leave. This video isn't for you. Also, I am speaking from the perspective of a heterosexual man. So, my perspective might not be what's actually happening. I'm just trying to be as understanding as possible. So, if I ever say anything that's incorrect or, just a little bit off, let me know. I'm trying to be I want to be as understanding as possible. At least that's my goal. All right. And I guess one other thing. I'm not a huge fan of Lil Nas X's music. It's not for me, but I do appreciate him for who he is and what he does. So, I just like him as a person. So, now that that's out of the way, this song came out on March 26th, and I honestly didn't listen to it until a little bit ago. It was earlier today. And the reason for that is, like I said, I'm not that big on Lil Nas X. So I was okay, fine. It's another Lil Nas X song, whatever. But the internet was clearly upset. So, some backstory, I guess, in hip-hop and, I guess, at least American culture. I guess there's a stigma around people who do not fit the mold of someone who's heterosexual. And that's kind of been how it is forever. Even though in hip hop we have some people who are not heterosexual, we still feel like there's this I guess hate towards them. And it just doesn't make sense to me, but we'll get into that as well. The whole stigma, I guess you could say, is just that, at least the one that I've been seeing the most, is that, maybe people are saying or thinking that Lil Nas X is pushing this gay agenda. He wants people to be gay. No. He wants people who are gay or queer, transgender, non-binary to feel comfortable being whatever you are. He doesn't, I don't think he's trying to make people gay, because that's not a thing. You can't just one day decide, I want to be gay now. That's not a thing. Okay, so get that out of your head if that's something you think. But no, he's not trying to push that agenda. The agenda that he's trying to push is to be okay with yourself. And actually, with the song, he did post he tweeted out a letter that he wrote to the 14-year-old version of himself, which goes, "Dear 14-year-old Montero, I wrote a song with our name in it. It's about a guy I met last summer. I know we promised to never come out publicly. I know we promised to never be that type of gay person. I know we promised to die with this secret, but this will open doors for many other queer people to simply exist. You see, this is very scary for me. People will be angry. They will say I'm pushing an agenda, but the truth is I am. The agenda to make people stay the fuck out of other people's lives and stop dictating who they should be. Sending you love from the future." And that in itself I think says a lot. Like, he, as well as, I mean, a lot of other people, I'm sure, want to create a space that's open for everyone. And, I mean, especially people who are in his community, you could say. And Lil Nas X is not some unknown person. Like, I looked it up earlier. On Twitter, he has 5.6 million followers. So I understand that he would want to be like, yo, I have this platform. Maybe I should do something about it. Like, this is something that is close to him. So why not talk about it? Like, it's similar to, well, I guess personally, like similar to me, like with the farmers protest, like those are my people. Like my, like we come from farmers. So for that, like I feel very strongly about it. And even though I don't have the biggest platform, like I still feel like I can utilize it to spread awareness at least. So similar to that in a way. Now, I think, let's see. With the song, there's not a whole lot, I guess. Because really, the song itself, like, you can, like, if you just kind of listen to it, you don't have to really, like, understand what he's talking about. Because it's a pretty catchy song, you know? It's whatever. And realistically, like, he doesn't say anything that, like, I'm looking at the lyrics right now. He doesn't say anything that, to me, would be very, like, you know, specific to gay people. Other than, I mean, the chorus, I guess you could say, like, or the pre-chorus where he's talking about, you live in the dark, boy. You live in the dark, boy. I cannot pretend. Like, if Eve ain't in your garden, you know that you can call me when you want. Like, that's sure. If you really think about it, yeah. I mean, even if you don't think about it, if you take a second to think about it, yeah, it's there. But I think the majority of people don't really care about lyrics. Like, they don't listen to it like that. So that's fine. I'm sure there's more. I'm just glancing over the lyrics right now. But I think the thing that people are really jumping onto is the video, which I guess you could say is more explicit. Because they're like, oh my god, think about the children. Oh my god, he's trying to make the kids gay. That's not how that works, like I said already. But yeah, it's not necessarily the most appropriate video for children, sure. But neither are most songs and videos out there. I mean, hell, The Weeknd won a Kids Award for I Can't Feel My Face. If we are upset that Lil Nas X is making this song and he has a fan base with children in it, why aren't we upset that The Weeknd made that song and won an award? We'll get into that in a little bit. I want to talk about the video first. So, the video starts off with the spoken piece from Nas X, where he says, "In life, we hide the parts of ourselves we don't want the world to see. We lock them away. We tell them no. We banish them. But here, we don't. Welcome to Montero." And, you know, just hearing that, sure. Seems pretty wholesome, right? I mean, it is wholesome. And there really shouldn't be anything that people would be upset about. Especially with that starting bit to the song. Like, yo, okay, cool. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, we're going to talk about things that, you know, we don't talk about. Awesome. Like, that's how I feel, at least. Like, yo, we're going to talk about these things that are not talked about. Sweet. Because, I mean, not even talking about, like, the song now. With that spoken piece, you can really even, I guess, relate it to other things. For example, something that's very common in just our culture in general, and hip hop especially, for men, we are always taught, yo, don't talk about your emotions. You bottle that shit up. Like, no one wants to hear that. You gotta be strong. And, you know, that's not healthy. I mean, I still have to deal with that. So, like, it's something that's ingrained in a lot of people, and it's really shitty. So, having him say this is like, you don't even have to be, like, you can take it different ways. Like, you can relate it to yourself in a different manner. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, you don't have to be gay and, like, talk about that. Like, for me, because I am a heterosexual man, like I said, like, to me, it relates more to hiding my emotions. That's fine. But to Nas X and other people in this community, it's talking about hiding who you really are. And you shouldn't have to. And it's so shitty that people have to, or feel like they have to, because of everyone else in the world being just shitheads in general. But getting into the rest of the song, it starts off, I believe, I have to remind myself, but it starts off with him I guess you could say the Garden of Eden. At least that's the image that came into my head. I mean, Montero, or whatever this world that he is in, is kind of meant to be like a heavenly place. So in the video, he kisses a guy, and I guess someone sees it, and he is sent to trial. And then he's sent because in this place they say, no, you can't do that. That's not very heavenly of you. We're going to have to kick you out. So he gets sent to hell. And honestly, that was really funny the way he got sent down, because like at that point he's like, fuck it, I'm fully embracing this shit, and just like pole dances his way down to hell. And then he gives the devil a lap dance before he breaks his neck and becomes the devil himself. So there's lots of points at which this can be, I guess, deemed inappropriate. The biggest one being when he comes down to hell and becomes Satan himself. But I mean, starting at the beginning, like, he's kissing a man, and it's in this sort of heavenly realm. So yeah, that's the first point at which people are going to be like, yo, that's not right, you can't do that, whatever. Like, at that point you should be like, oh good, he's going to trial and he's getting sent to hell, right? You fucking idiots. But you know, like, then he goes down to hell, and instead of just being like just taking his punishment, he's like, nah, I'm gonna continue to be me down here, and if that means I gotta be the new devil, fuck it. And this whole thing honestly feels like an analogy or allegory, or it's in relation to him, like a fallen angel sort of thing. Hold on one sec, I need to fucking mute this shit because they're gonna keep bugging me. It's kind of like the fallen angel thing. Like, Lucifer was a fallen angel, right? Also, I'm not Christian or Catholic. I just happen to have read the Bible and have my own thoughts on it. So now that that's out of the way, like, my understanding is that Lucifer was a fallen angel, but he's still loved in a sense that he's, you know, he has a job. Like, he still has to, you know, basically do the bad parts of like what God does. So Lil Nas X is portraying a fallen angel, and him being a fallen angel in this sense is that, like, he's going against the grain. He isn't following the norm. He's, you know, because he's gay. So he's falling down, and he's basically created another space for people to live in. At least, like, that's a very generic thought that I have on it. Probably have to form more words before I can clearly explain how I feel about it. But I enjoyed the video, I guess. Like with all that, like I enjoyed the video. Like, I'm not necessarily here for Lil Nas X giving the devil a lap dance. Like, I'm not into that because I'm, that's not me. But I appreciate what he did, and cool. Like, I'm not hating on it. Like, it's just not for me. I'm not gonna be one of those people that are like, oh no, you can't do that. That's not appropriate. Like, I don't care. Do you? like, honestly, I'm glad he did it because now people are talking about it. And, unfortunately, this is how change happens. You kind of gotta do some wild shit sometimes to get people's attention and to make them listen. So, yeah, I'm totally here for it. Like, I actually really even, I like the shoes that he put out too. Like, that was dope. Like, it was not necessary, but they kind of hot. I might have to Nike ID them. But anyways, that was kind of the gist of the video. Now, with that, there was a lot of people talking about it, like I alluded to. Most notably, Joyner Lucas, who I have my own issues with. But what he said in a tweet, not even at Nas X, so he's a little, if you wanted to say this stuff to him directly, you should have added him. Like, come on now. But what he said was, I think the biggest problem for me is the fact that he don't understand Old Town Road is every kid's anthem. Children love him for that record. They tuned in and subscribed to his channels. So with no disclaimer, he just dropped some left field-ish and all our kids seen it. SMH. To which Nas X responds, I literally sing about lean and adultery in Old Town Road. You decided to let your kid listen. Blame yourself. And I thought that was hilarious, honestly, because that kind of goes into the hypocrisy part. So, Old Town Road, yeah, about lean and adultery. How is that appropriate for kids? I don't know. That's wild. You know what else is wild? Is that The Weeknd got a Kids Award for Can't Feel My Face. A song about him on all the drugs and, sex and shit. Which, that's not an appropriate song for kids at all. So why are you so upset about Lil Nas X doing this stuff? He's being true to himself, right? So, sure, it might not be appropriate for kids. Sure, whatever. But who said he's making music for kids? Just because your kids liked Old Town Road and other songs that are not appropriate for them doesn't mean they should be listening to it. If that's how you feel. If anything, that's just being irresponsible. If you feel like your child shouldn't be listening to that, maybe you should actually be paying attention to what they're listening to. Because there are so many other songs out there that aren't appropriate for kids, and these artists have to keep defending themselves yo, I didn't make this for kids, so what the fuck are you on? Most recently, aside from Lil Nas X, we have Cardi B's WAP. That was performed at the Grammys. Is that appropriate for kids? Not necessarily. But it's still a song. And it also wasn't made for kids. Was it inappropriate that the Grammys had her, were okay with her performing it? I guess, maybe. But again, are the Grammys for kids? Do kids listen to all the music that win Grammys? For example, let's say Freddie Gibbs had won a Grammy for Best Rap Album. First of all, are you letting your kids listen to rap? Because I'm almost certain the majority of parents are probably no, you shouldn't listen to that, honey. They talk about killing people and drugs. So that's already okay, if you're so against that shit, why are you letting them listen to rap? Second, on Alfredo, he doesn't really talk about well, he talks about coke and drug dealing, which is not for kids. Kids don't need to be hearing that. Sure. But again, that's not for kids. Now, I'm not a parent, so I probably can't tell you how to raise your kids or what they should be listening to, because yeah, sure, you're not going to be able to watch them all the time. But, there should at least be conversations that you have with them, I feel, sometimes. But I'm not going to get into that because I don't have kids, so I don't know. But I'm just saying there are songs out there that are not appropriate for kids, and you shouldn't be upset that they're not appropriate for kids, even if they're on a platform that is very public, or even if your child happens to listen to it, or at least like listen to other music by them. Like, you have to understand that not every artist is like, oh yes, I'm gonna make music for the kids and for the family. Like, no, bitch, that's not how that works. Like, they're gonna make music that they want to make. Well, assuming their label wants them or allows them to do so, but that's another thing. Now, going more into the hypocrisy bit, there's a lot of stuff that, rappers talk about that's probably not appropriate. So, looking at it from a lens of someone who, I guess, could be religious, you could say. Like, talking about, like, rappers. So, say this rapper, like, there's some other rapper who's, like, religious, and they're like, oh, yeah, Lil Nas X isn't going to go to heaven because he's gay. But they're also the type of person who raps about shooting people or have actually shot people and murdered people. You think you're going to go to heaven? Like, if that is your concern, maybe you shouldn't have shot someone. Like, I mean, I understand that there are circumstances where it's like self-defense and stuff. That's different. Like, if you're going after someone, like, you should maybe also be like, yo, maybe I'm not going to go to heaven too. Like, no matter how much you try to apologize to God, like, you really think that that's going to be a way to get into heaven? Like, I'm not Christian. I'm not Catholic. I barely even pay attention to religion myself. But if that is your concern, don't you think there's other, I don't know, like, take for example, like, the coke rap, like, because that's one of my favorite genres of rap. Like, if this person is talking about selling drugs to people, killing people, and then, or like watching people who they sold drugs to die because of the drugs, like, I don't think they're really concerned with going to heaven at that point. Or maybe they shouldn't be, because, they're not doing good by God, you could say. Like, if that's how you want to play it, like, you really think that you're going to go to heaven because you shot someone, and Lil Nas X ain't going to go to heaven because he's gay? Like, is that really what you want right now? Like, really? Because, that don't sound right to me. Like, if you're so concerned with other people, like, maybe you should be more concerned about yourself. Anyways, it's just really funny to me how upset people are about it. Like, what Joyner Lucas said, I can see it making sense. Because, yes, a lot of kids knew Old Town Road. Did they know what the lyrics were saying? No. Should they have known what the lyrics were saying? Maybe. Should the parents have known? Probably. At least that's how I feel. Like, if you're so concerned with your children listening to music that's not appropriate for them, maybe you should be paying attention to what they're listening to. Again, I'm not a parent, so that's just my thoughts. I know you can't be watching your kids all the time. Still, I feel like there's a little bit more that you could be doing if that is a concern of yours. Just my thoughts. I personally think that this song is good. Like, I do like the song. If, like, I don't think, like, yeah, no, Lil Nas X isn't trying to talk to the kids necessarily. The people he's trying to talk to, I feel, are the people who are going through it right now. And for him, like, when he wrote that letter to the 14-year-old him, that's right around the age group that I would expect, like, to listen to this. Like, that age and older. Because, when you're like a teenager, young teens, you're going through puberty. Like, there's a whole lot of things going on in you. And you spend a lot of time talking to yourself and thinking, like you're thinking inwardly. So, that's a time where, I feel like, well, again, speaking in generalizations, I don't actually know this because I'm a heterosexual man. So, but that is right around the age where I feel like kids who didn't realize it at an earlier age, I guess you could say. I know there's kids who, like, have ideas that they are gay or transgender or non-binary at younger ages. Fine. But I think for the majority of kids, that happens more so right around when they're a teenager, like when they're going through puberty, because that's, when all the hormones start kicking in. And I don't know for sure, but that's when I would imagine that starts kicking off. So for those kids, this is a great song, because what it's telling you is to basically be okay with who you are. Like, who you are is, like, there's nothing wrong with you. And I hope that one day, hopefully sooner than later, like, we get to a point where we're not, like, where the majority of society, like, and, well, yeah, the majority of society is perfectly fine with people being whoever they want to be. And there's always going to be this vocal minority, and they're always going to be mad. But fuck them. Like, and yeah, I know it's easy to say that. Like, it's very easy for me to just say, fuck them. Who cares what they say? But I'm sure it does, like, start to wear you down. Like, it's not easy to deal with. Like, I can only imagine how it is. But I hope one day we can get to a place where things are just fine. Like, you don't have to be scared. Like, you don't have to be concerned about what other people think about you for like these reasons. I think it's in human nature to always be, like, seek acceptance and, like, hope people like you and stuff. Like, that's, I think, just part of us. But I hope one day we get to a point where you can just be who you are and not be judged negatively. Like, you shouldn't be judged for who you are and what you do and your preferences. Like, and I've tried to record this a bunch of times too, because camera issues and all that. So I'm trying to remember what I've said in previous recordings versus now. But I think one thing that I really want to, I guess, draw a comparison to is racism. So racism is kind of like this prejudice that you have against people for being different. Not all racism is necessarily hate. Like, you're not always going to be like, oh, I hate this group of people. I hate them because they're different. Like, it's going to, like, a lot of times it's more passive. Like, you just assume people are a certain way, or put them into a certain box. But what I'm more addressing is like the more hate side of it. So like this hatred is just because people are different than you. Now, with Lil Nas X specifically, this hatred is because he's gay. Like people don't like him because he's gay. And they're starting to hate on him because they think that he's pushing this gay agenda where he wants other people to be gay. And that's not the agenda he's pushing. He wants to push for people to be free to be who they are. And for that, I'm really happy. Like, I really, really appreciate that. But yeah, like, the thing that really bothers me is that people in hip-hop, especially, are just going against him, which, again, homophobia has been a huge thing in rap since forever. And I don't know, like we have other people out there who don't fit that mold of, oh yes, they are straight. But I guess we're not bothered by them. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, maybe Lil Nas X is going a little bit harder than others in terms of like, drawing awareness to it and being more like, yo, we should be accepting of everyone, or being like, hey, fuck everyone else's feelings. Like, you do you. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I feel like, I want to feel like the majority of the community is very open and accepting of him. But I know people like Joyner Lucas is going to say some stupid shit because, that's kind of him. In case you don't know, I don't like Joyner Lucas. Welcome to the Bar for Bar podcast, episode like 12 or some shit. Yeah, it's... I can very easily go on a rant about Joyner Lucas because he's very close with Eminem, who also just says some wild shit that his kids probably listen to, but he's like, nah, that's fine because it's my boy Eminem, and this is real rap. If he says that shit, I'm gonna... yeah. But, it's... yeah. Before I get too rambly, I'll just end it there. This song, this video, honestly is very important. And it is not appropriate for kids, sure. If you, but he also didn't make it for kids. So, fuck you if you think it's for kids. He at no point said his music was for kids. I don't care if his audience is children, or if there's a majority, I don't care if there's a decent sized audience of his that are children. It's okay. I'm sorry if I sound angry on this, but it's very frustrating for someone like me who's not who wants to be accepting, and not be an asshole. Anyways, I think that's all I have. Let me know in the comments below how you felt about the song, whether or not you appreciate his message. And yes, it's not for kids, but if that's what you want to talk about that too. There's so many things that are gonna I'm honestly dreading the comments because I don't know what y'all are gonna say, if you're gonna say anything. If you're gonna... we'll see. Just know that I'm not trying to fight y'all in the comments. If you say some wild shit, I'm gonna let someone else deal with it, because I'm not dealing with it right now. I've said my piece. Also, if you didn't agree with any of this, like I said, you should have left at the very beginning. Literally a minute into the podcast, I said leave. So, if you're still here, I hope you stayed because you wanted to learn or wanted to see another perspective. With that said, like and subscribe if you want to see more content and podcasts like this. Thank you for watching. And please stay safe out there.